Welcome to NEK VT Rocks. And my guest today is Pam Smith from the agency that used to be the Area Agency on Aging and is now the Northeast Kingdom Council on Aging.
Northeast Kingdom
right?
Council on Aging, absolutely right.
Okay, and we're going to be talking about making Newport a dementia-friendly town. What does that mean?
Well, it's great. It just means that because we know of the incidence of Alzheimer's disease is only going to increase as time goes on. The numbers right now in Vermont is like 13,000, and it's expected to grow quite a bit by the year like 2030 or 20. It's huge. So for every one person that has Alzheimer's, there's usually at least 3 other people that are affected by that. It's either a spouse or a family member or friends. So just because you have one person, how it affects everybody throughout, just throughout the area. So the Governor's Commission on Alzheimer's this past spring and has decided to make dementia-friendly communities a priority for this year. And so I serve on that committee. And I said, you know what, I have the perfect place that I would love to see it start. Number one, because it already had an age-friendly initiative going on. It's been kind of going for a few years, I think, now. And adding that dementia-friendly to the already what's established as an age-friendly is perfect.
Okay.
And from what I understand is Newport is kind of in that position of kind of redefining who they are as a community itself. So it's perfect. It was just, and I said, hey, I know, let me just check with Newport and check with the age-friendly group, see if it's something they want to do. And so that's kind of how we get to Newport.
So trip to City Council, which is always an experience.
Yes.
And you talked to them about dementia-friendly communities.
Did.
And I saw some glimmers of interest, and I saw other eyes glaze over. So how, in practical terms, because we've got to be practical here, how can this happen? What has to happen?
So the first thing that really needs to happen, and if you go to the Dementia Friendly America website, it's has so much information in that. And so phase 1 of that is getting kind of like your community leaders engaged, and because it's not going to go forward unless you have some a positive outcome of that. And so I had suggested, I tried to, and I did. I emailed the city manager and said, "Hey, look, this is what I would love to be able to present to your city council at your earliest convenience." I sent them a couple of introductory videos, and which I was able to show, and
I'm going to stop you because
Okay.
that was then.
that was then.
This is about us, the people. And while it's a great idea to get, quote, leadership involved, leadership is not what moves anything forward. It's feet on the ground.
Right.
How you're talking now to feet on the ground. How do you get feet in the ground?
Okay, so to get
interested?
feet on
Because
the
everybody
ground.
knows somebody with Alzheimer's or one of the other dementias.
Absolutely.
Probably more than one.
Yeah.
What can people on the ground do?
Okay, so people on the ground. So I'm just going to go back just for 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Because I think having a blessing from them was important.
Absolutely.
Which I think
You
that I
got
got.
it.
And
You
then
got it.
I'm not going to talk about that anymore. So then we go towards, which is a continuation of phase 1. There's 4 phases that usually have to happen. One is community engagement. So what is the next step? So the next step is getting the word out that this is something that is going to that we want to happen, and so the community itself has to kind of be involved and
Right.
kind of be for it. So I guess what we're looking for next is to be able to get the word out, which is getting some speaking engagements going.
You just got one, that's this.
Yeah, that's right. Being
This is
able to-
marketing 101.
Yeah, that's true. But being able to get to the Rotaries and the Chamber of Commerce's,
Yeah.
because a dementia-friendly community is the entire community.
Right.
So you're talking about your retail stores.
Mm-hmm.
What would a dementia-friendly retail store look like?
Yeah.
So it's training the staff to maybe recognize the confused elder. That's kind
Or
of
younger. It's not always a disease
Not always,
of
yeah,
aging.
that's right.
And
We're-
that's where it gets really tricky.
Sure. There's early stage
Right.
dementia. There's early onset, and actually I'm getting more
Mm-hmm.
calls from people that are getting diagnosed at a
I know.
younger age, which is really sad. So your retail person, do they recognize if somebody's not really quite sure do they look confused? Are they not
Right.
sure where to go take their items to the checkout? How to recognize, how to help that person, how
Right.
to say, you look like you might be having a hard time. Can
I help you?
Can I help you?
Yeah.
So the person that has dementia, many times, not all the time, likes what they see and may possibly put on or pick up something that they like
Right.
and forget that they have to go and pay for it
Right.
at the register. So instead of accosting that person, you could
Right.
say, "Hey, I'm sorry. Did you want that?
Right.
Can I steer you to the?"
Yeah. Can I take it and put it on the
Can I
counter
take
for
it,
you?
Put it on the counter for you, instead of saying, you're shoplifting, and
We're going to arrest you.
Yeah, and we're going to call the police.
And you'll be locked up.
That's right. That's right. What does and I thought of this afterwards, and it's not actually in the what we consider as part of the community, but Newport is a great vacation land.
Yes.
So what would a dementia-friendly campground look like?
Mm-hmm.
Is it lighted paths to get to the bathhouse?
Mm-hmm.
There's all these different things that I
Sure.
think that you can use to help with the vacation the people that are coming here.
Is there going to be funding available for any of this? I mean, Newport, as
There
you
is
know.
there's no funding, and that was one thing the governor's commission said. It's like, okay, that sounds like a great idea, but we don't have any money.
Right.
But actually, it's not going to be totally expensive. I mean, obviously, you can go if you're going to have a community action meeting and you want to
Right.
provide food and
yeah.
rent. There's that type of thing.
Yeah.
So the cost is going to be the retail. So it's going to be allowing the staff, maybe paying the staff to go to a training.
Right.
So it's going to be pretty individualized.
And offering trainings for community members and family members.
Right.
Is your organization funded to do that?
So whatever my time.
Your
is
job
probably-
description lets
Yes,
you do
it's
whatever you
just-
want. Oh, I like
yeah,
that.
my job description is usually there's this list, and then there's other duties as assigned, which is
Yeah.
can be kind of a little scary. But but I do most of the dementia training in the 3 county areas.
Right.
So I have anybody from a store or whatever is welcome to come to some of my programming.
Right.
Which we do. Ones was basics of what dementia is. There's ones on communication, which is I always encourage people to
Right.
try to come. So all of these can be adjusted.
There are a lot
for
of
that.
family members up here who now have a lot of experience, personal experience, who probably would be very happy to continue some of the groups and trainings
Yeah.
because it doesn't require a quote professional
Right.
for all of it. It really doesn't.
Sure.
And engaging the interested parties.
Yeah. There is an Alzheimer's support group that meets in Newport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I usually encourage families to go to for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I do a lot of, like I say, a lot of Alzheimer's education. One thing that I would love to have help on is I have a hard time getting people out to those, and
Right.
I have had to cancel a couple because I just had nobody signed up. So and I know the need is, and it's, for me as a family caregiver support person,
Right.
I get frustrated because I'm like, I know there's a need out there, but yeah.
As somebody who had a day job that involved looking at the other side of that,
Yep.
and talking to somebody who had to go through 6 different organizations,
Oh.
6,
Yeah.
before she could find somebody who could sit with the person who had Alzheimer's, who needed
Right.
the caretaking, to
Yeah.
even get to a support group. I mean, that was absolute insanity.
Yeah.
But that's what
Yeah.
people face, and that's the
really
practical
is.
piece of it.
It really is.
And
yeah.
Here's where I get really mad at agencies.
Uh-huh.
How on earth you can set up a system that
Right.
requires that number of interventions from different people and
Sure.
requires a person to trot from one to the other to fill out yet another form?
Right.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't, and I wish we try as the senior helpline is
Yeah.
to make sure that we are that one-stop shopping type place. So if they call the senior helpline, yes, we may have to send them to, it's like, okay, these are the best people to help you with that.
Right,
So
but it's still a lot of stops.
it's a lot
There's
of stuff.
gotta be a different way.
Yeah, yeah.
Or we're not dementia friendly and we're not age friendly if we
Sure.
can't clean that up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
There's got to be ways of doing it.
Like I say, we try to do the best we can with the senior helpline,
Yeah.
and kind of steer people in the
Yeah.
right direction that they can go, and so that's a big thing for all of them.
Right.
So the good thing is the different, like the hospitals and the area agency on aging and different, they do have meetings where they do get together and try to take some of the things on. I don't go to these meetings, so I'm just kind
That's
of,
smart.
yeah, where they can say, okay,
Not to go to the meetings, I mean.
Oh, okay. But they do, take
Yeah.
like individuals one thing, and it's like, okay, I wasn't be able to help this person, but can you? And
Yeah.
so they're trying really, really hard
Right,
because
but
we all
that's
realize,
up here.
yeah,
Down here, what at the practical level?
sure,
And recognizing that there are not the resources,
right,
that anything that requires 6 stops is
Yeah.
clearly doing that because there aren't the resources
Sure,
to just
sure,
provide
yeah.
transportation.
So that's a good
So
thing.
where do people start?
Okay, they start with the senior helpline.
Yeah.
They would start with the senior helpline.
Okay.
But, so is thinking about where we're going to go from here from dementia friendly, that is a great, when we gather the people that are interested in working on this project, that's the perfect thing to bring up.
Right.
How can we make, this person who is trying to work the system, how can we make that dementia friendly?
Yes.
It's certainly all part of that. And it's going to take
Right.
it's going to take a group. It's going to take many heads trying to kind of figure
Right.
this out together. It can't be just one person or
No,
one
of course
organization.
not.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, while those high paid heads or not,
Or not.
or not, I know, I'm being flippant there, sorting details like that out.
Right.
I'm much more interested in us talking about the grassroots and how to
Right.
become dementia friendly at the grassroots.
Sure.
Because
sure.
that's where we, the people,
Yep.
can make a difference.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
you're in a position of being able to offer workshops for how people can spot somebody who's struggling
Yeah.
or whose family members are struggling.
Sure.
That's
Absolutely.
becoming dementia friendly.
That's becoming dementia friendly.
That's not at the top.
That's
up
not
here.
the top. No. That's
So-
people realizing what we have to
Yeah.
offer for them.
Yes.
And this is, I do one-on-one counseling with families.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that if they have some needs that I can't meet, that we have a position called options counseling,
Mm-hmm.
where that one person can go in and speak to this family and say, this is what we have to offer, and this is where I suggest
Which
that this
sadly,
go.
frequently is diddly squat. Which is why the communities have to start helping themselves and helping each other.
Sure.
And
So I think you have to look at all the things that are working.
yes.
And there is a lot of that is
No,
working.
I'm not
Yeah.
knocking everything that exists.
Sure.
It's just that the numbers are big.
They are big.
And
they are big.
what we on the street can do is help
Yeah.
each other.
Right, absolutely.
That's where I'm going with this.
Yes.
So how do people recognize? How do they help each other say, instead of yelling at the person who it looks like just picked up an extra pair of socks,
Sure.
how can you say to the person who's in that position,
Right.
I think there's something else going on here.
Right.
Can I help?
Right.
And you're in a good position to do those trainings at the
Sure.
grassroots level.
At the grassroots level, absolutely. For retail, for
Yes.
Banks.
Yes. Big time.
Big time for banks.
Banks are confusing on a good day.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely.
When you have that machine where you stick your card and it sometimes gives you what you want and it sometimes doesn't.
That's right, yes.
It's challenging.
So the thing that I use my debit card, and they ask you like 3 different questions before they can get to you so you can put in your PIN. It's like this right amount, and do you want cash back? And I always put the wrong one in. It's like, I'm sorry, I just pushed the wrong button.
Exactly.
I don't have dementia. So how is it for the person that that has it and is trying to use their debit card? So there's transportation. The RCT is training the drivers.
That's great
to recognize.
RCT is
restaurants
is a practical lifesaver.
Yes.
Up here.
Oh yeah.
It really is. The restaurants.
Restaurants. So as I have said before, is what would a dementia-friendly restaurant look like? Maybe we have a couple days a week where we cater to the senior citizens or younger. Maybe it's recognizing that if the family member says, mom has Alzheimer's, is putting them in a quieter corner where it's not so confusing. A menu that only has maybe 4 or 5 options for them. So there's a lot that can be done in the grassroots. It doesn't have to happen in the big picture.
And those are really good points. And sometimes the restaurants are now recognizing things like autism and other similar issues that don't do well with overstimulation.
Sure.
And that's a great practical suggestion.
It is, yeah. And I know they're doing it more, but not having the men's room and the women's room as far as restrooms, is having the family-friendly one where...
Wouldn't that be good for everybody?
Yes.
Anyway.
Anyways, sure.
Because then we don't have to have the issue of what gender.
Right.
And really, does it matter?
Right.
It's a bathroom, go in, close the door.
So a wife can go in and help her husband, or vice versa, without, feeling, I'm in the women's room or I'm in the men's room. So I think there is a lot that can be done with feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Even now, even today.
That doesn't require agency involvement. That just requires giving information.
It requires giving information, and it requires having respect for all people, whether or not they have Alzheimer's or not. But if they have Alzheimer's, is recognizing it and respecting them. And ultimately, people that do have a diagnosis, they want to stay in their own home.
Of course.
And they want to stay in their community that they're welcomed in, and just making sure that people recognize that this is a disease, and that they do deserve the same amount of respect that they did before they had that disease.
And just as people who are aging may require a little extra assistance.
Right.
It's just the same.
A hand across the street.
Right. Can I walk across with you?
Can I walk across with you? Or you look a little confused on the street. Is there? Can I help you get to where you're going, instead of just walking by somebody? So it really is just recognizing and treating everybody with the love and respect that we all deserve.
Yeah.
So
and that would be such a benefit for everybody here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dementia friendly is really about being friendly for everybody.
Yeah.
Newport, as you know, is trying to reinvent itself.
Yeah.
And this, in my model of the world, there's 2 ways of reinventing. One is from the outside in, and that's what this city is trying to do,
Yeah.
but it's also from the inside out, so that
Right.
we restore our heartbeat
Yes.
and become
Yeah.
a real community.
Yeah.
And that's where, to me, this makes sense.
Mhm.
It's a community
It
thing.
is. It definitely. It's a dementia-friendly community.
Yeah.
And you know, some people can get it really like quick,
Mhm.
just like that. And I notice even when I'm dealing with family members, many times they have this epiphany moment of, oh, okay, I'm not supposed to argue with them, or you know, and we say the words that they're saying are less important, or more important than the facts. So if somebody says, oh, you know, I was born in 1945, and somebody knows that they weren't, that was the wrong date.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? And sometimes, like I say, it just, once a family member can get over that, oh, it doesn't matter, then it makes life so much easier for the caregiver and for the person that has the disease.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have to be right.
You don't have to be right. Right.
Which
yeah.
actually would be a really good philosophy for the rest of life.
Yes, there you go.
It's so hard.
It is. It is hard.
Damn it, I want to be right.
Yes. But it doesn't always work that way.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And I mean, even arguing about the terminology, Alzheimer's tends to get used as the catch-all, but so many of the dementias are not Alzheimer's.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
My mother had dementia,
Mhm.
and I remember arguing with my sister-in-law over what was the correct term,
Okay.
because she wanted to use Alzheimer's, and
Yeah.
it wasn't Alzheimer's.
Okay.
But reality, who cares?
Who cares? That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So whenever I do, because ultimately if I'm doing a program, people want to know what's the difference between Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And I said, well, dementia is loss of cognitive function that affects activities of daily living. Saying that somebody has been diagnosed with dementia is saying like somebody's been diagnosed with pain.
Right.
Okay, so there's a reason. And I'll use, it's called the dementia umbrella. So the umbrella is like flowers. And underneath that, you have roses and carnations and daisies and whatever, tulips. So so underneath the dementia umbrella, we have Alzheimer's disease, which is the most prevalent. We have vascular dementia.
Right.
We have, you can have a dual diagnosis. You can have Alzheimer's
so many.
and
There's
vascular
so many.
dementia. Pick's disease, Lewy body dementia,
So many.
Parkinson's dementia.
So many.
So
So
there is,
many.
there's a lot.
But
So
it really doesn't matter which it is.
it doesn't really matter.
At a
We're
practical
going to,
level.
Yeah, we're going to communicate with that person the same. It doesn't matter.
You just gave an absolutely beautiful image a minute ago, which might be a fundraiser, because
Okay.
there's going to have to be some. You use the dementia umbrella.
Yes.
Well, it could be a literal umbrella with flowers
Yes.
as a signal.
There you go. Perfect. Write that
Maybe
down.
your organization. But it was this, oh, wow, you know, you talked about the flowers on the umbrella.
Yes.
It's a beautiful image.
Yeah, yeah. I know the
logo.
Alzheimer's Association itself is, when they do their walks,
Yes.
is now doing flowers. And so they have different flowers for, you know, like yellow if you're a family caregiver, purple if you have the disease. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just
That's
their
going to
thing,
get as
too.
confusing, though, as the different coloured ribbons for
Yeah.
whichever.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
just a bunch of flowers is perfect.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, we'll have to make something up like that. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also would be something to give to people that I just learned something about dementia and how to be dementia friendly, and now I can proudly wear my pin or carry my umbrella or
Sure.
wear the T-shirt or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah. So to become a dementia-friendly community,
Yeah.
they start with the grassroots
Yeah.
and kind of get, and then, you know, eventually if you go through all 4 phases,
Yes.
then you can actually get from dementia-friendly America an insignia of some sorts that actually says Newport is a dementia-friendly community.
Cool.
And what a great thing to have on.
And that would be something that the upper echelons, I'm sure, would be interested in.
Yes.
That's sort of less important to the grassroots.
Right, right, yeah.
But
yeah.
all places can feel good about this.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And it really would make it so much easier for people to be able to stay here.
Yes, yeah, because that's what people want.
Right.
People that are born here, grew up here, went to school, come back
Yeah.
and work. They don't want to
No.
go anywhere else. They want to stay in their own
And we
home as
have
much.
so few resources, and given the state of the economy and all of the other things, that's not going
Right.
to change. Not
Right.
not for quite a while,
Yeah.
if ever. So we have to do better amongst ourselves.
Yes, yeah.
And-
And making sure that your home health workers are trained in dementia.
Right.
Because that's a big one too. Your
And finding other
volunteers.
ways for those who are not able to have home health workers.
Right.
And that's a lot of people.
Right. There's another, and I've got to add this to my list of things to think about. But
The growing
other,
list.
other duties as assigned. But one of the other area agencies over in the Burlington Way has started a respite volunteer group.
That would be fabulous.
And like, oh my gosh, for those that want to go to the support group but can't, or want to go to my Powerful Tools for Caregivers, which is a great program that we offer.
Or just would like some time off to
That's right.
go sit on the beach or whatever.
Sure. So we do also through the Council on Aging we have dementia respite grants and we have family caregiver grants. So so those are two
Yeah.
other resources that are available for people also.
Are those reasonably easy to access?
They are, because I do it.
You control it. Ah.
Well, I get a certain amount of money from the state,
Yeah.
and then so yeah, but it's perfect for things like that.
Yeah.
So,
You're the one with power.
Well, I don't know about that. No, I actually have very little, but I just have a lot of great ideas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. And a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and
Yeah.
that's really important.
Well, yeah, it's something dementia education and is something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
So only because it affected my family also. So
I think it's affected everybody's family.
yeah.
Somewhere.
If I'm in a group of that not necessarily that has a dementia program or whatever, and if I'll say, how many people in this room have been affected by Alzheimer's, if you go statistically, at least a third of the people are going to raise their
Right.
hand. And so that's just the way the numbers are staggering, actually, about
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
And I'm sure there's a lot of questions about that, like why are the numbers increasing? Is it because we live longer? Is it because we're poisoning ourselves? Is it? Who knows? But
We don't
I
know.
mean, there's so
We don't
many.
know.
But certainly as we live longer, we
Right.
see it more.
Sure. So, and the other point I'd like to bring up is there has been no new Alzheimer's medications on the market for years. So the thing is, we're not. So I probably won't say too much because somebody would disagree with me. But it won't be the first time. There's no new drugs on the horizon
No.
right now. There's no cure on the horizon.
And frankly,
right
the
now.
current drugs are of very little use.
Some families swear by
I
them
know.
and some do not. So,
You know, but there is very little evidence.
But there's very little. So there's no cure on the horizon. So the best thing that we can do is to try to make life as
Right.
as easy as we can for the
Absolutely.
person.
And there are some
with dementia.
wonderful models in other countries
Oh gosh, yes.
that we're not going to be able to do here in the foreseeable future for
Right.
umpteen different reasons.
Right.
So it's up to us.
So it's up to us. It's up to us. It's up to Newport. It's up to all communities as
Right.
a community to see what they can do to make as dementia friendly as possible.
It would be really neat for Newport to be a model.
Yes, and that's my goal is to working with the grassroots and
Yes.
try to make Newport the first dementia friendly community
Yeah.
in the state of Vermont.
Yeah. So your task is to educate every single person in Newport.
That's my goal.
Well, it's your task. I mean,
Yeah.
and no, I'm being semi-facetious here,
Right.
but I really think it can happen.
I think it can happen. it can happen. Yeah, there's information out there. You don't even have to use me. There's the Alzheimer's Association website has so much information. It has online trainings for family caregivers. There's a lot. There's a lot there, and it's just encouraging when I'm trying to plan my fall education programs, and so I guess the other thing that maybe I kind of struggle with is trying to find the right time. Now, I haven't done a morning one. It's usually mid-afternoon or evening.
Yeah.
And so I haven't tried. Maybe morning's the best time to have one. I have no idea.
Who knows? And it's going to be different for different people.
That's right. That's right.
I realized as we were talking, I live on a small street in Newport, and we're a city of small neighborhoods. That one of our street had Alzheimer's. Yeah. And how the street handled it. Yeah. Because we all knew, and we all knew her, and we all watched what was happening. Sure. And people were sort of were involved in a gentle peripheral way. Yep. So, for example, every so often she'd come out of her house against family wishes, but she'd come marching down the street and sit on a bench in our yard just to watch the cats, which was cool. Yeah. And it was nice for everybody, but it meant that as a street we could be involved. I think there's a neighborhood level here, which is how do you give neighbors the information? Sure.
You know what, as you're saying that, I think that's a perfect, get a bunch of neighbors together. Right. We can have a coffee meeting at somebody's house. Yes. And we can do like a mini support group education. It's like, what are some of the things you're noticing? And then try to even talk amongst yourselves about what can we do? What can we do to best help the family? So mini neighborhood meetings is a great way also to get information out there.
There's even a formalized neighborhood meeting called the Third Street Hood, which would be a perfect place for you to go. Yes. But there's so many others, and little streets have all kinds of informal networks. Sure. And that's where we the people can get involved.
You sure can. Church groups. Yes. There's a lot of organizations that are like looking to have a speaker. It's like, oh, we don't have anybody, and that's a good time to give me a buzz too. So,
So you can spend all your time up here, moving from small group to small group.
I could, yes.
Nice, you'll have a lot of coffee.
But there's the person that runs the support group up here, and I know she has a co-facilitator, and we could even get them involved, and they have time maybe to so it's not all just me, or just train some people to go out and just give them some basic information and to just talk about it too.
And even at a neighborhood level, which is, we all know Joe. We know that Joe is struggling, and yes, Joe at times can be really annoying, but how can we work as a community to make it easier for everybody, particularly for Joe and Joe's wife?
Right. Yeah. And understanding why Joe's behavior is a little.
That's right.
Maybe it's the telephone rang at the wrong time, and we weren't able to process what was going on, and so.
And how can the neighborhood kids help?
Sure.
You can bring in the wood or whatever else it takes.
Yeah. And if the neighborhood's together, it's not all for just one person. It's everybody has their, on Tuesday, can you bring in supper? On, for you, can you get the wood on Thursday, and I'll do it on Friday. Right. I mean, so people aren't overwhelmed with a lot of responsibility, but it's shared as the neighborhood. Yeah.
We're practically out of time, and I'm having to guess this because the timer cut out.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
So we've just kept talking. I'm sort of assuming that we're near where we need to be.
Okay.
I'm really glad you came, because I think this is something that we can do.
Yes.
And that it can be done from the people.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's great. Are you willing to come back?
Yes, anytime.
Cool.
Well, not anytime, but for the most part. Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
We have flexibility with that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Thank you for coming, and
thank you.
We'll do this again.
All right.
Great.
Good to be here. Thanks, Pam.